So flying out here is a new challenge. If you're used to launching at lower altitudes like I am, my home elevation is 800 feet above sea level. Most of my flying is done in that area. I'm very accustomed to how that air feels, how the wing performs, how the motor performs at that altitude. I've got a couple pointers for you. If you're thinking about taking a trip out west to do some flying, these pointers will help you whether you're in New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, anywhere in this area where you're at 4, 5, 6,000 or even higher. Now, keep in mind, Western native PPG pilots, they just look at this as normal. They've been flying in this environment for so long, they don't think about how much longer it takes to get off the ground, how the wing performs, any of that kind of stuff. So if you're flying with somebody who's local to the area, you might not get this information and you're going to find out the hard way. Now, first of all, don't let these points discourage you. This is very attainable. Even the first time doing this 3+ years ago, I had no familiarity with flying out west at higher elevations. I had been told that it could take a little bit longer to get off the ground, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that's not a big deal. Just run a little longer, right? Even my first time launching, landing, I didn't mess anything up. It was just different. It was surprising is basically what it came down to. Now, the first time I ran up into the air, I didn't realize how much space I needed, and I actually ran into a cactus and got about 3 pretty sharp spikes in my ankle. That was a lesson learned. Give yourself plenty of room, especially in a no-wind launch at 5,000 feet. So let's talk about a couple pointers here that's going to make this a little bit more comfortable if you're in this environment. The higher you go, the more effect these will have. So the first thing is your wing inflation is slower. It's going to take a little bit more time for your wing to fill with air because the air is less dense. Plan ahead for that. If you're comfortable doing power forwards, I really don't notice too big of a difference because I do a power forward. I let the motor help me lift that wing and get it up above me. Now always remember your motor creates less thrust. And you're going to notice this when you're running. You get that wing up above you and you start running and you go full power and you're like, am I at 50% power? What's going on here? I'm still running. I'm not feeling the wing pulling me off the ground like I normally do. So you have to run longer. I promise if you just stick to it, eventually it's going to get you off the ground. Just give yourself plenty of space to work with. Now, because the air density is less, the wing is going to be a little bit faster. It doesn't have the same flare effect. So there's going to be times when you're approaching the ground very quickly. Your wing is not gliding at the same ratio as you're used to because of the less air density. Now, this will definitely affect your landing and you're going to be coming in faster. You're going to be having to run much longer once your feet hit the ground. Even a solid flare just doesn't give you the same input that you're used to. All of this is manageable. It just takes a little bit of practice time. Now, keep in mind while you're flying, so when we're talking about thrust, when we're talking about the speed of the wing, everything takes a few seconds more. So if you're coming up to something that you need to fly over, you want to plan a little bit further ahead. And the best thing to do is once you get off the ground is to just practice that. Get down close to the ground, go full power, and look at how much less your climb rate is. As you're up high, let off the throttle and watch how your wing will dive. It will start closing into the ground much quicker. So a couple things to learn that are very important and will make your experience flying out west a lot more fun. Always have a big, large LZ, preferably flat, no clumps of sand, no gopher holes or brush to avoid like I unfortunately have. That's going to make you more comfortable. You're less likely to trip on something. Now, a couple final thoughts. The terrain out here has its own challenges. Now, it is flat in a lot of areas. The cool thing about out west is 90% of the land is landable. It's somewhat flat. It's manageable. There's very little water. There's very few trees to have to avoid. But the winds, they get whipping pretty hard. Mountain flying is super fun, but of course there's risk involved because of the unpredictable winds. However, just because it's a challenge doesn't mean it's something we need to avoid. We see people flying out west all the time. They learn, their skills get better, they become better pilots for it. There's a reason I come out here every year, and each time I come out, I tend to make it a little bit longer. Maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe the next time will be a month, because I just enjoy it so much out here. There's so much to see. There's new challenges to take on. There's new environments to learn and build skills. If you have an opportunity, I promise you this area won't disappoint. I've only got a couple days left on this adventure. This one was a little bit shorter than normal. Then I got to start heading back home, and I'm already looking at areas where maybe I can try to fly or find something new. Between New Mexico and Tennessee, there's not a lot that excites me. It's more of just the drive. I appreciate you guys watching. Fly safe, be good, and don't forget, existing is not living. Go out and live.